Well, afternoon, Mike. Thanks so much for coming. We're interviewing board members around the strategic process, the strategic planning process, the real-time strategic hybrid model that we all chose to use, and getting board input on now it's time to implement, so what's it look like moving forward from a board perspective. So thanks for coming. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Bob.
Great.
So we're going to have a retreat with the vice presidents of the agency in March, and we wanted to give them a little sense about how the board members that were on the strategic planning committee felt about the process and what they see as some issues moving forward. So as a member of that committee that had many board members and community members and staff on it, talk a little bit about the journey the committee took to develop the strategic priority, and sort of what does it mean that only one strategic priority was selected?
Thank you very much, Tammy. Well, I think first and foremost, the whole process started really in the fall of 2016. There was a strategic advisory committee that was organized to basically start the journey in terms of exactly how we want to approach this year's strategic plan, and it was a very dynamic process. We had a lot of thoughtful and colorful conversations over the last year and a half or so, but I think as a board member and as a representative of the committee, I think we're very pleased at the outcome of the strategic plan for 2018. It's, as you mentioned earlier, it's a hybrid model, which we felt very strongly that we needed to combine sort of real-time thinking with traditional strategic plan development, and I think that that's going to be critically important going forward as we operate in a very dynamic, fast-paced environment, both not only from a child welfare perspective, but also from a funding perspective. So I think that the ultimate plan that was developed, supported by the board, and is now being delivered to the agency, I think, is going to be something of substance, and something where we will be able to direct our activities in a more measurable way going forward.
Thanks. And that process that was used, this kind of hybrid real-time process, it's going to carry forward. It's not just stuck in planning. It's going to carry forward into the implementation of the plan. So how do you think that process, that hybrid model, is going to impact the future work of Children's Friend on behalf of children and families?
Well, as you mentioned, in addition to the strategic priority, which there's just one strategic priority that's coming out of a result of this work, there was a number of elements to the plan, starting with the mission statement, which was restated at the outset. We also spent a lot of time as part of our real-time thinking in developing 5 core principles that we felt very strongly that should get advertised throughout the agency. In addition to that, we needed to develop a business model to not only sort of lay out exactly kind of who we are and the geographies that we serve, but also it's for the things that the agency should not be doing. And I think that was a pretty good roadmap. And that certainly led us into the strategic screening process, where we'll utilize that tool as a measuring tool going forward to basically make sure that all decisions that are being made at the agency are not only consistent with the strategic priority, but also that we have some type of a measurable component in terms of walking our way through those types of decisions.
Yeah. And speaking of measurement, what do you see as your future role and other board members in terms of sort of monitoring the progress of the strategic plan and assessing really the impact on the youngest and most vulnerable?
So as a result, again, of the plan rollout, the executive committee of the board will be meeting on a quarterly basis with the team to basically review all aspects as it relates to the strategic plan. And first and foremost, really sort of looking and analyzing not only the existing programs, but any new programs that get rolled out over the next several months, and making sure that those are consistent with the strategic priority that has been developed. So, you know, we're pretty excited about it. I think there'll be a lot of oversight. We have a lot of confidence in, certainly in David and the leadership team to carry out the mission of the strategic plan. And so there'll be, again, a lot of eyes on it, and it will be much more of a it's not necessarily an evaluation process, but really sort of a contribution based on pretty much everybody on the executive committee was part of the strategic planning committee. So we're pretty well versed in terms of the background and the amount of effort that was put into this. But we certainly have a tremendous amount of confidence that David and the team will be able to effectively execute on it.
Great. So what advice or guidance do you have for the staff that are going to be implementing this plan? What opportunities do you see? What challenges might lie ahead?
Well, I think first and foremost, because it is a real-time thinking approach, there's going to need to be some level of patience as this is all new to us in terms, it's a different way of strategic planning, is a different way of executing on a strategic plan. That's a pretty dynamic process. So I think that we're probably going to have some pains early on in terms of figuring out exactly, what we need to do, how to effectively utilize the strategic screen going forward. And I think that change is always difficult to embrace. But again, I think that given the passion of the committee, given the passion that David brings to the table every day, I will point out, Amy Mitchell and Carl Neal did a fantastic job in leading the strategic planning committee. They certainly demonstrated patience with committee members as we debated a number of different issues and opportunities that the plan presents.
Mike, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Tammy. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you.